Welcome to a cool video. Insert funny meta textual joke here. Fuck it. I don't want to do the intro today, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Gus is calling in sick from cringe.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Henry Galley.
And I'm Meg Tudin.
And the very sad man is Gus Zagarella, aka Dire Gentleman.
I'm in dire need of a more clever joke than the sentence I'm uttering.
You're in dire need of Prozac, from the sounds of it, mate.
We watched something. I don't know why we watched it, but we did.
Yeah, and that something is Echo Chamber.
Also known as the TV Tropes show.
Yeah.
Mom, I want to get Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog tonight. We have Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog at home.
Except it doesn't have singing, so it's infinitely worse.
It's just the horrible blog.
Yeah.
The horrible vlog.
Meg, all you needed to say was infinitely worse. I think that describes everything about this show from the early 2000 teens.
Yeah, it is from the very early 10s, late noughts.
Yeah, it was...
And it's...
This made me feel a type of way.
I don't know if you've seen this post, Gus, but there's this Tumblr post that's like, I hate when somebody makes an observation about you or makes you remember something about yourself that that is correct, but you hate them for identifying. Let's come up with a word for that. I propose that the word is fuckor. Example used in a sentence. You main Junkrat, don't you? He said, and a wave of fuckor came over me. That's how this made me feel, because I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because this was me in 2009 to 2011. This was me. The female character, Dana, has a black and pink Joker t-shirt that she wears in multiple episodes that I literally own. Ooh. And I hate that.
Oh, no.
And if I was still, quarantine... If quarantine wasn't keeping me from it, I would immediately be going back to my parents' house and destroying that Joker shirt somehow.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to exist anymore. Those all need to be destroyed.
Echo Chamber ruined a shirt. It ruined a completely unrelated shirt. It maybe ruined all the tropes it covered. Thank goodness it didn't cover all of them.
So, Gus, tell us a little bit more about Echo Chamber, like what it is in general for the people at home, because they've probably seen the title and they've thought, what? TV Tropes? That website that is known for making you feel anxious that all originality is dead, made a show?
Okay, so for some context, I actually watched the first season of this show back when it came out, just around 9 to 10 years ago. The conceit of the show is that it's these characters, they're on a college campus, they presumably go to the school, but they're doing this show within a show, talking about the various tropes. And very quickly, the show becomes a self-referential sort of thing where the tropes they're talking about form the meta-contextual storyline of the thing. Apparently, there was a second season. Back then, I didn't know because I was kind of I fell out of interest with this almost immediately.
Gus.exe has stopped working.
Hit him to reset him.
I gave all the context this deserves. Please, someone else take the mic from me.
So, the reason that I hate this show is that this is literally how I used to write. I got all of my writing advice from tvtropes.org back in the day.
Ditto, same.
Wow. I get the feeling that the fact that I discovered TV Tropes comparatively late compared to the two of you is why I'm perhaps not as harrowed.
No,
that might probably why.
Don't get me wrong. It's fucking awful. The full experience of sitting and binging this series.
And I kept wanting to look away through the first couple of episodes. I kept wanting to look away, so I was like, I'm gonna hook this up to the television, and I'm gonna stream this through the television. So we watched it on the big screen.
By the end, I was looking fully away. I did not want to even register anything that was happening. By the end, I was so done. I was so checked out. Because the first half of it, the amount of times that I, out loud, alone to myself, exclaimed, gross! Were far too many.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's yunky!
Yeah.
Because as I described earlier, yes, this is a self-referential trope show, but the tropes they pick are not like, like action show tropes or really like plot point tropes. It's all of the worst romance / American comedy movie tropes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very sitcom-y.
Yes.
The thing about this show is that I mentioned in the Long Gone Village video, I'm working on an animated comedy pilot, and they are based on characters that I created when I was in high school. I have just been kind of workshopping these vague ideas in different forms for like the past 15 years, basically. Early bare bones versions of what eventually became my comedy pilot, Urban Creatures, were functionally identical to this.
Oof.
So I'm just so embarrassed sitting there watching and being like, oh, I know if I had discovered this show when it had come out, I would have stolen ideas from it.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought this was the height of storytelling.
See, I wasn't quite there in terms of this specific show. I was aware of it at the time, but I was one of those people who, if I opened a tab of TV tropes, just because, like, I had a thought, I remembered something that I had seen on there, or I'd watched a new series, and I was like, oh, I wonder what the TV tropes page is. 3 days I'm gone. No one sees me. I'm basically dead to the world. I am scrolling and clicking new links, and I'm on TV tropes for all of eternity, till my body bursts like a phoenix of fictional fire, and I am reborn as a semi-coherent human being. And that was essentially my life for an entire year, apart from, like, all the other stupid decisions I made. But TV tropes didn't help. TV tropes was was a substance that I abused.
TV tropes for me was like, I would look at I would just go through lists of tropes. And I used to do this, like, pretty much non-stop. And I would either have it, like, on my old iPod Touch, and I would open up, every time I had Wi-Fi, I would just open up TV tropes and be like, let's see random trope. And I would look through it. And then I would have, like, a doc open whenever I came up with a new concept for, like, a comic that I wanted to make or a story I wanted to write. I would open up a Word doc, and I would make a fake TV tropes page just so I could that was my form of, like, brainstorming. I would just list TV tropes and then write out the descriptions of the tropes as they would appear in the story, and then I would be like, that combination doesn't make sense, and I'd get rid of some of it.
Oh god.
That was how I used to plan.
That is you are looking at my process from back then too. Holy shit. Because there was this golden age before I discovered TV tropes where I would just throw a bunch of shit at the wall. And then there was this mid phase between where I am writing now and back then where it was all just, what would be the best way to maximize how these tropes can function in a story to be engaging to the people who fucking read TV tropes?
Yeah.
Speaking of people who fucking read TV tropes, I'm going to wrangle this thing back out of your two's misery pit.
I'm sorry. You want to structure this thing? You want to structure this? The people who are watching this, they're lucky. They didn't have to watch Echo Chamber. We watched it, so they don't have to. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of the video could be me slamming my face into my microphone, and that would be better than what we just had to sit through. So, I'm sorry, Henry. Continue. That was uncalled for.
Yes.
That was... Perhaps maybe my berserk button was pushed.
Maybe perhaps.
Anyway, so the central character of this is a guy called Tom Pike, played by Tom Pike, who basically, if I were to ask you at home to picture a guy who edits TV tropes for fun, it would be this man.
He looks like an amalgam of every college-aged man that I was inexplicably friends with when I was 15.
This is a homunculus of all your lab partners.
Yeah, no, exactly. And he's this weird mix of, like, kind of innocent and cynical, like, sexless and really horny. Like, especially in the first season, as you two alluded to earlier, like, there's a lot of weird
Gross.
sex shit
It's very
in the first
gross.
season. A lot of jokes that feel weirdly like casting couchy.
Yeah.
And stuff like that in, like, the interview episode, and just bizarre, like, objectification and shit like that. But this guy...
A lot of sex
a lot
shaming.
of it.
Yeah, but this guy, he alternates between being, like, the kind of everyman protagonist type and a dude who's just, like, a real asshole. Like, being, like, a shit to everyone in his life, calling his, like, cameraman, like, the R word.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Like, he comes across as this huge asshole because this came out in this grand era of,
Right
like...
towards it was like the very, like the tail end of the being mean is automatically funny.
But also just the idea
period.
of, like, the kind of fast-talking, pop culture literate, like, snarkiness.
Yeah,
Like,
he's snarky, so you can't call him an insufferable genius, even though that's the trope that would be good.
But he is definitely a deadpan
well,
snarker.
he's insufferable. But, like, that's the thing. The way I described this to Meg when we watched the first episode last night was like, wow, this is like Community if everyone was Abed.
But Henry, you gotta love it. He's a comedic sociopath, which is a trope that you can enjoy, one of many, on tvtropes.com.
He's not quite a comedic sociopath. I would say he's maybe a jerk with a heart of gold.
Oh, that's
He's a
right.
jerk-ass.
They
Like,
literally call
so the
him
thing
that.
This is how the dialogue in the show sounds.
Yeah,
everybody.
legit. Like, this is how it sounds, except it's a little bit more, like, overwritten. So, the side character we have... The first side character we have is Dana, who is not like other girls. Especially all of the other girls in this who are...
Oh, God,
like
kill
bimbos.
me.
Yeah, they generally either pay... Like, basically... So, we have...
There were two other female characters in the entire show.
Three,
Oh,
technically.
right. The third one is named Porn Girl.
Oh yeah, the third one.
Yeah, the third one is someone they keep calling Porn Girl, whose whole thing is that she may or may not be a sex worker, and she's like...
She sexually assaults Tom, and that's really funny because women don't normally do that.
Well, the thing is, the show is an incredibly bizarre thing of, like, discussing the kind of, like, hackneyed or toxic elements of these tropes,
But still
and
doing
then just
them.
playing
yeah,
them straight.
like discussing the sexism and then being sexist.
This reminds me of, like, a Channel Awesome movie or the, like, AVGN movie. It's got that, like, there's a specific moment in the AVGN movie where two female characters start fighting, and one of them's like, I thought I'd go this whole day without getting objectified in a sexy cat fight, but it looks like push has come to shove. And it's just that is the only move this show has.
Well, the thing about this show is, like, there are so many different ways you can describe it, and the thing is, I don't recommend, if you're watching this video, you go and watch it, because it's horrible. But, like...
Zonzua.
Like, another thing is, I described it to Meg as being like a Patrick H. Willems sketch as a whole show if Patrick H. Willems was on heroin.
If he was just really, really sleazy all of a sudden.
Yeah, like, if you extracted any charm from, like, Patrick H. Willems' like, wraparound skits that he sometimes does in his video essays, you would have a show like this, where it is just constantly, like, it's one of the most sincerely insincere shows I've ever seen.
That's the thing. This lead man, Tom, this character, I can legitimately say less charisma than Doug Walker.
Yeah.
And that hurts deep inside my
he's, like,
soul.
not even trying.
He's got nothing.
Doug Walker at least tries. He fails every time.
This is as we've mentioned in a previous video, the shticky dickhead, but there's no shtick. He's just a dick, and it makes me sick.
Yeah, there are multiple points in it where there were things that happened that we thought was funny, but we then realized was very likely not an intentional joke. Like, there's this bit in the second episode, which was...
Freudian excuse.
Yes, Freudian excuse. It's him sitting down, like, on a chair, chatting with them, and he's wearing, like, a black shirt and a leather jacket over it.
And then
in the
behind him
background,
on the coat rack are like 6 leather jackets.
yeah, like, that was really funny to me, but I think that's probably not a joke. That's just the fact that this dude owns so many leather jackets.
Like, I thought it was a joke about, like, oh yeah, it's like TV tropes. It's like limited wardrobe. That's a trope.
Yeah, like a cartoon character.
If they had pointed it out, then it would be a joke. Because they didn't point it out, it's probably just how that guy lives.
Yeah, because it would be too subtle.
Wait, don't get me started on that, because one of the things that their weird, mysterious boss, because, yeah, it's not enough to have them just be doing a vlog. There has to be a, like, corporate overlord who is only seen in, because that's every story that TV Tropes apparently knows how to generate. So this guy tells them this story lacks, like, plot, character, or subtlety. Like, he says something like that, and, like, the third one is subtlety, and it's like, ah, yes, a thing that needs to be in every story all the time. Subtlety.
Yeah.
The thing is, because of the format of this show, I just kept thinking of it as, like, shit Magnus Archives, because it's a bunch of people doing menial work that are, like, ostensibly academics, and they're all playing characters that have their names, like their real life names, and then they have an obviously evil boss with secret motives. So this is just garbage Magnus Archives.
There is something really... Sorry, go on, Gus.
No, I will not. I refuse.
There's this great blog called they've stopped posting now, but you can see like an archive of all of the posts that they made called Straight Magnus Archives. And it's basically, like, coming up with alternate versions of plot lines from the Magnus Archives that are just the most, like, hackneyed, most, like, you know, like, shoehorning romance into it.
Leaning hard on worn tropes.
Yeah, leaning hard on worn tropes. And, this is straight Magnus Archives.
It's true. Anyway, to continue exploring the characters, we then have, I think, my least favourite, who is Zach.
Oh, God.
The cameraman.
Zach is a psychopath. Zach has somebody tied up in his basement. Zach has consumed human flesh.
Well, Zach is
he kept his cat around for years, like in a dead box, because he loved it, and he's a stalker.
You know, Zach's kind of like a weird. He's got
a pervert.
He's got this weird mix of, like, he switches characterization between seasons. In season 2, he is so innocent that, like, this girl who was introduced to him as a love interest, he's like, she's my best friend. But in season 1, he is constantly creepily coming on to all the female characters in, like, a overtly sexual and often quite predatory way. And there are so many weird things about this character, because he's meant to be just the kind of, like, quirky cloud cuckoo lander, to quote the tropes. But, like...
Talkative loon,
yeah,
if you will.
Loon, all that shit, but weirdly, like 90% of his dialogue is very awkwardly ADR'd in, and you can tell because in the moments when he's speaking, all of the room tone drops out, and trust me, you notice, because the second I saw the thumbnail for the first of these things,
Henry turns to me and goes, I predict that this show is going to have the most wind interference.
Yeah, and I was right. Like, every scene in this is so, like, loud with just unintended, like, ambient interference. So, whenever he speaks and it becomes eerily silent, other than the few occasions where he speaks and he's recording from a far, like, tinnier, more echoey room, it's super jarring. And to me, it smacks of they looked at the footage for a lot of it and thought, wow, this isn't funny enough. Let's dub in more Zach. Because, like, there are so many things where he'll say his just, like... stupid, try-hard, quirky non sequiturs.
And they won't react.
Yeah, and nobody will react.
You know, the one thing they could have done to make all the episodes make more sense for how they were is change every single episode title to Stylistic Suck.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, but the thing is, like...
No, it's not. This is not Stylistic Suck. This is so bad it's horrible.
Yeah. Speaking of episodes and titles, Henry, are you going to give us some... Remind us of what we've just been through and let the viewers know what is in store in this thing that nobody should ever watch.
Yes, of course. God, I feel like an internet historian, but like one of the historians in The Mummy who have opened the magic book and now Imhotep is eating my face. Alright, so episode 1, show within a show, which really, you know, kind of gets us off on that start. We meet these very... strange, unlikable characters recording in the university.
Quirky.
Freudian excuse. Terrible interviewees montage, which has one of the few great characters in this, which
Knife
is
man.
Bearded man with flick knife.
He is actually kind of funny. Like the way they use him in a later episode is kind of almost a joke.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So after that, they have Dumbass has a point, which again, just terrible. But it gets to a different level of terrible when we get to unresolved sexual tension. Where the plot of that episode is that Tom and Dana are discussing the concept, like the trope of unresolved sexual tension, while Tom is repeatedly coming on to Dana, and Dana clearly isn't into it. And this is one of those things where, like, while watching it, we couldn't help but think, this is such a time capsule to the specific era of, like, self-aware internet media created, where, like, people automatically identify with the weird dude who doesn't know when to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, there's a whole trope called Dogged Nice Guy that is about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that, for the record, it was when this stuff started to happen that the grosses began to leave my throat.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and they are just impounded by the next episode, which is Psycho Ex-Girlfriend.
Because you meet the other female, one of the other two female characters other than the girl.
Yeah, who is both a stalker and is shown as being, like, very sexually promiscuous and is constantly cheating.
No, it's implied, and it's like people say that she's cheating. We never actually see her cheat on anybody.
Also, they kind of just, like, throw away as a gag in a later episode the idea that she might be physically abusing Tom.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked up.
Yeah.
To just do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, don't get me wrong, it's not to say that you can't have dark comedy. We're not the comedy police. I mean, we were at Less is Morgue, a show where people regularly get, like, devoured, dismembered.
Henry, this needs no disclaimer, because in order for this to be dark comedy, it has to be comedy.
No, okay, can I go on a little bit? Like, because this is something that I've been waiting to bring up. I hate when people are like, oh, you don't like that this comedy is offensive? Well, it's just dark comedy. Are you triggered? I hate people who do that, because the thing is, dark comedy, when it's done right, is so funny that it stops being offensive. Like, that you don't, like, register that it's offensive because it ends up being funny. That is the core of good transgressive comedy. Like, look at Frankie Boyle's stand-up, or, like, any given Mel Brooks movie.
Or Peter Geddon.
Or Brass Eye Peter Geddon.
Oh, Peter Geddon,
They take a topic that should be really horrifying, but they make it so funny that you are that your defenses are down and you're not horrified by it anymore. So if people are offended by dark jokes that you're making, there's a very high chance that it is because the jokes are not funny enough to be transgressive and are just relying on, like, bad stereotypes and punching down.
Yeah, I also think that, like, the kind of people who use that sort of, like, rhetoric when they're talking about the comedy they like, it almost seems like they're not getting any humor from it, and that their entire enjoyment of this comic or their work is derived from how other unrelated people who aren't part of the conversation feel.
Exactly.
Which at the end of the day just seems like, maybe you should be entertained by your entertainment. Otherwise, why is this sad, empty pit of your consumption there at all? Why not fill it with something that makes you happy?
It's the Dilk Stungles thing of, you think bad things are bad? Well, buddy. Well.
Dumbass did have a point, because I do think this bad thing is very bad.
Anyway, the episode after that was actually, in my opinion, one of the few good ones, called Walk and Talk, which I thought pretty decently satirized the kind of Aaron Sorkin stuff, but a big element of that is the fact that it was only 2 minutes long. So it purely satirized the trope, revealed that, yeah, it's a bit silly when you think about it, that this very kind of, like, fast-paced repartee while walking to distract you from the fact that it is just kind of a dialogue scene can be a little bit goofy when overused. But again, it's the fact that it's only 2 minutes long, it gets in, makes its point, and gets out, is what makes it more, like, redeemable and cohesive.
Go on.
Yeah, that's just it. It's just the fact that it gets in, hey, isn't it weird that in, like, Sorkin's type stuff, they will have this, like, hyper-witty, kind of oddly combative dialogue while walking straight towards the camera? Again, it's not particularly funny, but, like...
Yeah, it's like,
least
hot
the
takes for
criticism
making
is-
West Wing jokes in 2011.
That was slightly hotter back then, I guess, but yeah, still.
Yeah, I think that, like, the thing about that episode is that it advances the storyline, a storyline that no one likes and no one wants, that gets progressively worse over time.
Romantic false lead, another one of the like weirdly creepy
Oh, and
episodes.
it was so sexist as well.
Yeah, it really was.
Vile. Vile, gross.
It's the kind of
gross,
sexism
and
that
bad.
you don't expect to see in anything past like 1980. Of just like, oh, woman, oh, she likes shopping. And it's also like, oh, nobody who wants to have sex is like shown in a positive light. Everybody who wants to have sex in this show is demonized by the text. So you have Zach being a creep to Donna. You have like and it's like, oh, he's so weird and sad. Oh, he can't get a girlfriend. Oh, pity him. And then it's like I want to call him John.
Tom.
Tom goes back and sleeps with his ex. And that's like, oh, he's so pathetic. Oh, you know, men only want one thing. And then when Tom goes on a date with Porno Girl is like, oh, we've been going out for a week, and we still haven't had sex.
I have
and it's
needs.
Like, oh, she's so like, oh, she wants men to please her. Oh, what a bitch. You know, like
her motivation, Porn Girl's motivations make no fucking sense. No fucking sense whatsoever.
That's women, am I right?
because they show dialogue scene of them where Tom is explaining the show that they're in, and like this is like clearly the thing that he cares about the most, at least in this fictional representation of himself. And she obviously doesn't care at all, and he still goes along with the date. And they're shown talking, but it's silent. It's in a montage, and it's like, what would they actually fucking talk about? And then when they have this, like, you know, quote unquote breakup, it's like, why didn't she mention at any point that she wanted to have sex with him? Like, are we to expect that Tom, who is established as like a horn dog, would not take her up on that offer? Like, the question never crossed their, like, what were they talking about? Were they just talking about like, oh yeah, it sure is outside where we're at. This is food.
But that's the
Look
thing.
Look at that city. I love books.
Stuff like true motivation and like character consistency is an element that exists outside the very like small confined units of tropes as a thing. Like, the characters bend to fit the tropes. The tropes don't bend to fit the characters.
You know, and if we were season 1 Zach, we'd probably make a weird joke about characters like bending.
Yeah, bend over.
Yeah, that was like a
he makes a
weird,
joke like that.
Zach says
I'll
to
bend
Dana,
over back.
I'd like to bend you over backwards. Like, what is that even? That's not like, that's weird, dude.
It's just gross and strange.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things where, like, if one of your like male friends said that to a female friend these days, you'd be like, dude, that's not on. Like, you can't say shit like that.
Yeah, look, if a guy says that to you, you're not his friend anymore.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is that, like, I just want to clarify, like, as a patrician of, you know, the Monster Girls and whatnot, I think that this channel, in some ways, embodies a kind of wholesome horniness. And to just see this, like, fossilized, gross objectification from the past, I just look at that and I'm like, if I'm ever that, just fucking bury me alive.
Yeah.
Just take me out back and beat me with a shovel, bury me with the shovel.
Put you in a bag, put you in the freezer, take the bag out of the freezer 8 hours later, and then bash you until you are just a little paste.
Yeah, and I will write up like a note that I will give to the police, and it will be like, no, this was fine. This is what I wanted.
This was consensual.
Yeah, this was consensual. Like, this is, yeah.
Next episode after that, Did You Think I Can't Feel, which was just a very boring episode.
I didn't get what the trope was.
Yeah, they really badly communicated it.
I'm gonna look up what that is right now, because I did not understand what that was at all.
They didn't do it right, is why. That's exactly why.
I think it's someone who is used to just taking it, finally kind of snapping.
Yeah, pushed to their limits, and then, like, you know, I'm a human being too.
That's a bad name for the trope.
Yeah, and to be honest,
it's a really bad name for the trope. I'm sorry.
It's the fact that all of these, like, characters are such, like, snippy motherfuckers already. Like, that there is no one in this who, like, stoically takes it. They're all, like, annoying, like, perpetually sarcastic prima donnas.
They were doing it with the wrong character too, because like the whole thing is like Dana and Tom are constantly at each other's throats. It's almost like the only way that these writers know how to like write people in belligerent sexual tension is to make them literally just hate each other and hate each other's personalities and hate being around each other. Which hot take, not really good chemistry for even friendship.
Terrible chemistry, because you don't hang around with people you hate.
The only way that this could have worked is if Zach gave a speech of like, you know, it's hard being the cameraman. I do so much for you guys, and you guys treat me like shit all the time. But they can't have that happen because they need a butt monkey. Oh, that's another TV trope. Yeah.
All right, next episode, Mysterious Employer.
We kept calling this dude Elias.
Yeah, he is the Magnus Archives Elias, but Mr. Administrator.
With shades of Peter Lucas, because he does just kind of piece out of existence a couple of times.
But no, like, I mean, to their credit, I guess at least this episode was a little more, like, effort-intensive.
This felt like the first real episode that anything came of. There's multiple tropes mentioned, there's, like, a clear theme. Like, all the other ones just, like, there, we got the reference, it's over.
Yeah.
Also gross moment. We gotta get at least one disgusting moment.
Yeah, the weird sock puppet
just
shit.
Fucking creepy, gross.
Sexy knuckles, Gus.
No.
Again,
keep
like,
those pretty knuckles away from my face.
I feel like Mr. Administrator is probably, like, the closest, like, because the thing is, he is, like, an out-and-out cliche, as everything in this show is. I know tropes aren't cliches, I know they're different things, but, like, the way they are employed.
But they are here. They are the
show,
same here.
Yeah, the way they're employed in this show are essentially cliches. But you at least get the sense that, like, Mr. Administrator is, like, having fun with it. Like, he doesn't feel, like, miserable to be here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When he's on screen, it's a show.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about this show is, if you wanted something that feels like a very kind of organic, like, YouTube series, but is, like, obviously fictional, the guys from Life of Luxury do this kind of thing so much better, because so many of, like, Zach's annoying fucking antics, I just turned to Meg and I was like, this is just shit Chester from Life of Luxury is like. And
if you want to know about Life of Luxury, you can check out my video on the topic.
Yes,
Gus, you better link
to Meg's channel.
Yeah,
go subscribe to Meg's channel and check out the Life of Luxury.
I don't upload very much, but I did upload a video essay about how Life of Luxury is one of the best channels on YouTube.
Yeah. But I believe that's the end of season 1, and at the start of season 2, we have.
At the start of season 2, we are introduced to the most grating character in this show to me.
I fucking hate that this man exists in any capacity. This is a terrible character.
Steven, aka Ace.
Yeah. Well, which, again, this, I believe in
He
TV
looks
trope...
like the kind of guy, and he has the energy of the kind of guy who would take you to an Italian restaurant, and when he orders bruschetta, he would pronounce it bruschetta.
Oh, fuck off.
And then he would expect you to be impressed. That's the energy that this guy has.
to me, this dude has the energy of, like, when a teenager has a growth spurt and has, like, a full beard way too early.
And then he starts treating everybody like shit because he's like, I'm a man now.
Yeah, no. But anyway, so this
God.
character who is kind of literally, because this show has all the subtlety of drive-by shooting, he has literally said, oh, this guy can be a foil to Tom. Because he's like him, but he's better. Hence, it's the always someone better
And
trope.
he's the host of another similar show that is about the other wiki,
which I believe is just Wikipedia.
Well, that's what
in
they
TV Tropes
call.
parlance.
That's what they call Wikipedia, but also at the same time, like.
Let's be honest. Wikipedia is just a more useful.
Yeah, Wikipedia is just an encyclopedia. TV Tropes is a...
People. They're clearly talking about the Monster Girl Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah, the other wiki, Kinku Crosses.
Hey guys, welcome to Citation Needed. Here's my episode about Mucus Toad. Now, the mucus toad is a very strange...
See, Kenku Cross was working back then. He had stuff out by like 2009, 2010, 2011. Somebody could make a show about that.
Both of these shows, though, they feel like terrible versions of
Vsauce.
Well, yeah, but do you remember when like Know Your Meme had basically their like shows where they're like, oh, welcome to the meme lab. We'll explain this kind of meme for you, which I imagine is probably like that fucking like Wendy's or Arby's commercial looking back.
Well, no,
like...
it was like I remember there was one where they were explaining like why people like psychologically why people like repetition. To explain why Peanut Butter Jelly Time was a good meme. That's how old that video was.
To be fair, like Ask Your Meme people had much better production values than this.
And they had Weird Al come on for an episode about autotune channels.
But the thing they really needed was a bunch of romantic subplots and a lot of weird, sleazy comments about every woman who exists.
Like a lot of slut shaming.
Just a ton.
These people could give Lily Orchard a run for her money.
The thing is, if you're gonna be a horny show, don't also include slut shaming. Those things cannot go hand in hand. They cannot coexist without your show being intensely judgmental and also really difficult to watch for anyone with any kind of empathy for their fellow human being.
The thesis of this show, vis-a-vis sex, seems to be, yeah, horn it up all you want. Objectify women all the time, you know? Sexual assault. Men can have little of sexual assault, but once you've actually had sex, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah. It's so bad.
It's like that line from Smokey and the Bandit where Buford T. Justice is like, and don't play with yourselves. You can think about it, but don't do it. That's what this show is.
So
but anyway,
gross and weird and
these next two episodes are, to be honest, just super fucking boring. They are The Ace, A Day in the Limelight, and Conflicting Loyalty.
Oh, and the Day in the Limelight, we're introduced to Galen, who is the third and final female character in this show. I am certain if they had a season 3, they would have had an episode called Manic Pixie Dream Girl about her, because she is basically female Zack, in that she's quirky.
The thing is, if they didn't do it now, it's clear that there was no self-awareness going into this.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about Galen is that it's so obvious that they couldn't get the actress to dye her hair, and that she just sprayed her hair blue with hairspray. Because it like ends in, the color ends in the most bizarre places on her head, and her hair looks very chalky. So I can only assume that they didn't have enough money for a wig, and they couldn't get the actress to dye her hair, so they just went to Party City and got a tin of blue hairspray.
Oh god, she's like, no, I'm not dyeing my hair for fucking Echo Chamber, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Taylor Dooley dyed her hair pink for Shark Boy and Lava Girl when she was like 13 years old. So
you cannot compare this to that cinematic masterpiece. Not in this house.
I'm just saying that if a child is a more professional and like better actress than you,
to be
that's
fair,
hard.
she probably got paid for Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Do you reckon none of these people got paid?
No, I feel like this is a volunteer cast.
Gosh,
this has big volunteer cast energy.
It really could have been. Considering all the weird jokes they make about like not paying people and treating their workers bad and being incompetent at making a show. Oh, and also the whole, we kind of glossed over it, but the whole like interview process gag, like the whole episode was because the original casting call to get Dana on the show was phrased a lot like they were casting for a porn shoot, which is...
It wasn't to get Dana on the show, because Dana's been there since the beginning, but she was the producer. She didn't want to appear on screen. So they had to get, like, a female presenter, but the ad that Tom wrote up sounded like it was for a porno.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, like, 18 and up on a site full of industry professionals, P.S. no fatties, which just...
There's a lot of
stay
fat-phobic
classy.
jokes in here, too. Like, they keep calling Zach fat, and he's not.
He's just an average dude.
He's a normal-looking dude.
I legit thought, like, halfway through that they had recast him, because, like, I thought that had been a huskier guy playing Zach up until a certain point.
There is, and that's the sound guy. That's Dave the sound guy. The chunky guy with the long hair, that's Dave the sound guy. And he's actually very funny. I liked him.
The other thing about this, I mean, everything is wrong with this. Every single thing is wrong with this. You're gonna find that I cannot form entire thoughts when I think about this show.
That's okay. We're here for you, Gus.
Oh, no, I got it back. I'm baffled. I am baffled by the idea that No Fatties was on the actual casting list and not a thing they wrote to make Tom seem more unlikable in the show as a joke. I am baffled by the fact that that was actually on the actual thing. To me, that is just like, read that back to yourself and don't make a joke about it later like, oh yeah, man, it was hilarious when I did this actual dumb thing in real life. What is the difference between reality and fiction in this show? I guess that's the main theme of the show.
Yeah.
I guess that's the main theme of the whole thing.
I mean, to say it has themes is charitable.
Doesn't have themes, it has tropes, which is just as good.
Yes. After the really boring arc about, like, will Dana go to work at citation needed? We have Chekhov's gun, which has, I guess, a couple fun moments.
I couldn't understand what was going on. I felt like I was having a stroke.
A real gun! He pointed a real gun at Tom.
So there's a real gun, and it looks exactly like the guns that Bennett the Sage has in Kickassia.
Probably alone.
It's like those fucking airsoft Uzi-looking guns.
And it's supposed to be a scary real gun moment where he's pointing a real gun at Tom. But there's no tension. It doesn't even feel like comedic tension. It doesn't even feel like, oh no! Nothing about the presence of this gun or anything. I mean, nothing has any weight in this show. Nothing even, like, comes close to feeling dramatic in any way. But this especially was so jarring because it's like, what is the gag here? That he's pointing a real gun? But we know that not one bullet will ever be spewed, except one is.
And then somehow this, like, semi-automatic is stopped by a 2 centimeter
book.
thick After Effects user's manual.
Yeah, you could say that, like, maybe this Uzi only fired one bullet, but why did the sound design sound like he sprayed a million bajillion bullets?
Well, here's the thing, Gus, because it fired BBs.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking BB gun.
They couldn't fucking get another sound effect, like a stock gun sound effect? Yeah. That could have come free with fucking, like, digital blue camera. Like, that, you like, these people were making a show for the internet with TV tropes behind them, and they couldn't get one stock sound effect of a gun shooting or a gun that looked less like a fucking, like, plastic Uzi? My reviewer gun looks more believable than this.
So anyway, he got a real gun to be Chekhov's gun. And then for some reason, when Tom says, Chekhov's gun doesn't actually have to be a gun, it could be this book. It could be your striped shirt that you're wearing. It could be this potted plant that could fall over. By the way, the potted plant falling over is actually an example of a brick joke.
Yeah.
So they fucked that up. But anyway, and then they mention the knife man who showed up for the audition, and the knife man shows up, but this time he's got a big ol' monkey wrench, and he works for, like, the city council now, like, repairing the plumbing, I guess.
But he's just scary. And see, this is actually a moment where I'm like, oh, I get what the joke is.
Yeah.
He's a friendly guy, but he's carrying a big weapon, and he just seems so unsettling.
Yeah, he's a very large man.
I think the problem is, for this joke to work, and for the earlier joke to work, they had to have gotten a guy who inherently actually looks more threatening.
Yeah, with this guy, he's a big guy, but he's not a scary-looking guy.
Yeah.
You're right. The joke is kind of just like that Tom is, like, kind of like a little scaredy piss boy.
Yeah.
Because, like, you see this guy coming up to you, and you're almost like, I don't know this guy, but he seems like he's a friend.
Well, that's the thing, like, I think in their mind, like, they thought this dude, because he's, like, a big guy with a beard, looked like a biker or something, or like an unhinged, like, murdery woodsman. He looks like a D&D player.
He looks like our friend Josh.
Yeah.
This is a man that I would, like, profile and be like, hey man, you running a game this weekend? And he's like, what do you mean? I need to get back to fantasy football.
Yeah.
Fucking
I need to get back to yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, oh, I judged him.
Then he gives you a wedgie and just kicks you.
And then he puts in his earbuds and he's playing Kesha and he skateboards away to his ballet lesson.
See, that instantly is a better joke than anything on this show, and we just riffed on that.
But again, so after this, we have what is possibly one of the worst episodes of the entire show, which is saying something. Forgotten Birthday, which is an episode about a trope that the episode repeatedly calls, quote, a discredited trope, which I don't even actually think is a thing.
For the wrong reason.
No, discredited trope is a thing on TV tropes.
Yeah, it's like when
trope.
a trope used to be really common, but then changes in society or technology or like media literacy in the public have led to it not being used.
I feel like I've still seen this in loads of... Like, don't be wrong, it's still just a hackneyed, fucking stupid plot point, but I feel like cartoons have dined out on this for decades.
They have.
I'm just sorry, of all of the millions of tropes, why would they pick this one of all things?
That's the thing, there seems to be no rhyme or reason to the tropes pick.
I
It's
genuinely
bizarre.
think how they probably wrote this show is they hit random and then just tried to write a plot. Like, they went into, like, comedy tropes, hit random page, and then tried to write a plot based on them.
That's giving them way too much credit for how creepily specific some of these things are.
So next they have the Noir episode, where, you know, it's got a black and white tint, and everyone's wearing trilbies, and it's...
No, not trilbies. That's an actual fedora.
Oh yeah, sorry, fedora.
Trilbies are the
and-
little ones.
The fedoras went extinct. Trilbies replaced them.
But again, it's
Trilbies
just...
are the evolution of the fedora.
Like, the thing about...
Yeah, it's the Paleozoic hats.
The thing about an episode about tropes using tropes is... You look at this show, you see the thumbnail, and you see that it's called Noir episode, and you're like... And I can tell you from experience, you don't need to watch this episode. You look at this thumbnail, you look at the title... You know exactly what's going to happen in every moment of this.
Yes. It's literally just the same fucking... The rain was... And then she walked in. This broad was a classy dame with legs for days. It's that bullshit.
This city is fucking full of shit and rain and blood, because sometimes you gotta bleed somebody when you're on the streets of this shitty city.
It's so bad that it's like... It's a cliche... of a parody of a cliche?
Yeah.
You could have just summarized the whole show with that assessment.
Yeah, no, it's a cliche of a parody of a cliche is, yeah. But anyway, after that, we have Tyrant Takes the Helm, where we have, Humphrey Bridgeport appears.
The only black person in this entire show.
Also the episode where there's almost conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Humphrey Bridgeport, like, he's the only guy in it where, I don't remember the name of the dude who plays him, but, like, he's the only one in this where I looked at him and I thought, this guy's a real actor.
Whoever you are, I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're in things other than Echo Chamber.
He has stage presence, and he has, like, he tries.
His accent work was convincing. Like, I'm a British guy, and I could have believed he was like a British guy.
Oh yeah, no,
not an
I
American
totally
guy.
believed that he was British until he dropped the accent right at the end, because I was like, oh, so they cast this guy because he's the one British guy on campus.
Yeah, but no, he was just the one actually good actor they knew.
Which is a shame, because why would they introduce this character as a one-off when he's like the most charismatic and interesting character who can generate the most conflict? That's the end of the sentence.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, any good show really probably would have introduced, like, if you were actually making a show that was sincere and you wanted to make a show that was good and that would be remembered, and not something that literally, you know, we are the only fucking people making a video about right now, you would have this dude be introduced in, like, the first few episodes, and he's the antagonist for the whole season.
And then you introduce the Mr. Administrator guy right at the end.
As they would say, the man behind the man, or
Greater
the
scope.
bigger bad, or the greater scope villain.
All of these things they could have used. All of the actual interesting tropes were, like, kept to the sidelines. You can see it in how the view counts go, because the beginning one, it has like 17k views, which, like, for a decade later, yeah, that's pretty abysmal. But towards the end, these things were getting around like 1,000 to maybe even squeaking out a couple thousand views, and they were put on the internet a decade ago.
The thing about this show is, it really illustrates that at the end of the day, a knowledge of tropes in no way actually improves being a storyteller. Because, to quote Garth Marenghi, who is a fictional writer from the show Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, he says, "All I do is just tap letters on a keyboard. It's the order that you put them
Getting
in."
them in the right order. Now that's the trick.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's the trick.
But that's the thing, it's like, these people are like, That they have all these tropes that just float out in the ether, but they have no knowledge of how to effectively configure these
or like
units of storytelling.
which ones go together, which ones are like overused, and which ones can be done in a different way, how to subvert them, how to like put them in new combinations.
It's like someone who has an encyclopedic knowledge of ingredients but can't cook for shit.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Because of all of the tropes, all of the millions and billions and trillions of tropes that they had access to on this TV Tropes website, they chose these ones in this order to do really schlocky, terrible, and problematic romance stories to the detriment of literally anything else that this could have been. Like, when you have Freudian excuse as your second episode, before the characters even get a chance to establish what the excuse is for, you have told a bad story.
You're right.
Inky a story. A Smaheli a story. A Whoopie story. And I hate it.
To bring this back before Gus dies,
Gus fucking loses it.
Too late.
after the good acting of Humphrey Bridgeport, not his real name, but it's much more fun to call him that, we have the My Beloved Smother episode where we have the abysmal acting of Zach's Neil Breen-esque father.
Zach's dad is literally like a CEO from a Neil Breen movie. Like, the guys in the cars that'd be like, solar power is not yet ready for mass use. It is more profitable if we keep using coal and oil. He's that guy.
He's just... He just sounds like he's a PragerU narrator.
He does!
No,
But then all of those guys in Neil Breen movies sound like PragerU narrators.
Yeah, exactly.
and legit, that they have this whole episode where they're trying to like grow Zach and make him more sympathetic, funnily showing and not telling his like Freudian excuse thing, and throughout it he's kind of like bullied in front of his girlfriend, but at the very end, when she is like effectively chased out, he says to his dad like, "Oh, great boobs on her though, right?" And he's like, "Yeah," and it's like, wow, you ruined everything for that cheap, creepy
Also,
joke.
there's a weird twist
Yeah,
about...
no, that got real gross.
About Zach's dad being the boss of the other wiki.
Yeah, he's the Wikipedia head
Of
man.
their like transmedia division.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bullshit. It's crazy.
He is Mr. Wikipedia.
Also, I think that like they just gave up on making Tom a likable character at this point. They gave up on even having him be the protagonist of the story. If anything, Dana and Zach take the wheel, and they think they must have just realized that like, we wrote the most boring motherfucker on the planet with nowhere to go and nowhere to progress, because the only things that make him quote unquote interesting are when he's being a very mean, banal jerk to people.
Yeah, he's got like conventional boring protagonistitis. But anyway,
Main character Isis Otis.
we then have Broken Ace, which is an episode that's meant to be, see, Ace was really a dick, and it's like, yeah, we knew. He's been annoying throughout.
But here's the thing. I think that the way they handled his character in this was the most like, let's make him as awful as possible to drive Dana back to Tom, who has barely interacted with her except for being needy for like the past couple episodes. They went way over the top and gave him character traits that weren't his regular annoying character traits that you could dial up. They just gave him new sexist bad traits that belonged to every other male character in the cast.
You're so right.
But again, that's the thing, like I said earlier, character exists in service of tropes. And I know, obviously, like, yeah, that's natural, it's the TV trope show, but it's indicative of just this problem that, like, don't get me wrong, TV tropes can be fun. And if there's a certain, like, type of character or plot that you really like, it can be a new way to find new media that lines up with your interest. But it's poisoned the well of how we talk about art online in much the same way that CinemaSins and the like Channel Awesome ilk has poisoned the discourse.
I was just about to say, yeah, TV Tropes is to like constructing and writing stories what CinemaSins is to critique.
Yeah, it's like the most horrendously like paint by numbers, like to quote fucking Cherry Bomb, Tinker Toy bullshit. that's just like it's just like there's no soul to it. It's like, here is your Airfix media kit. Have fun.
I also want to point out that the broken ace trope usually has more to do with, like, the ace still being good at a lot of stuff, but you feel more for them because it's like they're not as great as you thought they were. This is more of a broken pedestal, or like a false hero, like, or Obi wrong. Like, there's so many other tropes they could have gone with.
But that's the problem. He was never good enough in the first place for it to
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
because
a
they were
fall.
trying to write a show that was better than Echo Chamber, but they're the writers of Echo Chamber, so they couldn't.
That's the thing. And it's like, all of this was an excuse for him to suddenly be a weird, creepy sexist, so that Dana goes like, well, better the devil I know than the devil I also know, even though both devils are fucking devils. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah.
None of the motivations line up, and I hate all of the romance tropes in this because they are handled the worst way. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen on the internet.
And the episode after that, the penultimate episode of the whole show, called Coming of Age Story, did the Doug Walker to boldly flee thing of, despite not really seeing any character development throughout it, just saying, hey, haven't we all developed?
Haven't we come so far?
This also, clearly, it almost feels like it was retconned into Coming of Age, because this was clearly the Big Damn Kiss episode.
Yeah, no, they say Big Damn Kiss multiple times. And yet, we never see the Big Damn Kiss between, Fucko and Fuckette. What are their names?
I'm guessing they didn't even kiss.
Zach and Donna.
I'm guessing they didn't even kiss.
No, Zach and Kate.
But we, not Zach. No, we don't see the kiss between Tom and Donna, but we do, because of the way that they insist on filming all of Zach and Galen's scenes from each other's cameras in a found footage style, she moves the camera out of the way to lean in and kiss him, so you don't even see it!
Yeah, it's impossible. Also, Tom and Dana don't kiss, they just make a giant chocolate kiss called the Big Damn Kiss. Which is stupid!
Can I say something that's really fucking funny?
Yes.
Dana's actor, Dana Shaw, is that it?
Yeah.
She was willing to kiss the dude who plays Ace on screen, but clearly didn't want to kiss Tom.
Oof!
Oh! Because she and Ace share an on-screen kiss at the end of the Noir episode, but obviously she didn't actually want to kiss Tom Pike, so they had to do it in like an abstract way.
So Tom or somebody behind the scenes makes it so that, like, well, we're gonna write his character to be a fucking idiot and a douchebag, so that way it'll almost be like Tom and Dana should get together.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, it's so bizarre because it feels like they're constantly, like, cutting off more noses to spite their own faces.
Also, Zach gets markedly stupider the longer the show goes on.
He is Flanderized, you might say.
So, the Flanderization really jumped out with Zach.
To the point that at the end you're like, oh, this boy just needs like a a counselor. He needs to, like, be he needs caretakers 24/7.
He's gone from, like, making sexual innuendos to people to when, Galen kisses him, he says something like, oh, I'm getting all tingly.
In my pants.
Yeah.
No, genuinely.
Yeah, no, in the first season he says, like,
boners.
you didn't even notice my boner.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And he has a boner, and he spent all afternoon watching porn in that one episode. He said it out loud. They fucking retconned him.
So you can't go back to being, like, cutesy and innocent after that.
Maybe decide what your characters are gonna be before you fucking write your show, you dingbats! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
It makes it weirdly, like, creepy because the thing is, he goes from being this, like, weird, like, perv dude who's, like, kind of like a meathead, but, is essentially, a guy, to a guy...
But he's, like, quirky and he says weird shit all the time.
But, like, to a guy that seems, like not...
weird, borderline psychopathic shit.
But not even that, like, to a guy who seems, like, not to be awful, but, like, so borderline, like, mentally kind of challenged that it's, like...
He seems like a child in an adult's body.
Like, it gets to the point where it's, like... Can he actually, like, really consent to any sexual activity with Galen?
Exactly.
Or is, like, her talking him into kissing him, like, kind of rapey just because he's not on the level of mental functioning.
Is she grooming this man who might be a year older than her?
The way his character is flanderized just makes it so creepy.
You can't even say flanderized because, like, it's a 180. Both versions of the character were completely one-dimensional. Like, it's not a more nuanced character becoming this one character trait they have. It's a existing character changing. This is why I thought they recast him.
And there's something so baffling.
Well, and also because he shaved his beard.
Yeah, true. And got a different haircut.
Yeah.
His haircut was way dorkier in season 1. But like, no, it's...
Also,
show...
I hesitate to say this, but, like, the fact that he was the one behind the camera and Tom was the one in front of the camera, I don't know. I don't know what was going on.
Well, no, it's another thing of, like, we can't have the interesting guy be the main character.
It feels weird, because, like, it seems like Dana wrote a lot of those episodes, so, like, it feels weird to blame it on Tom because he plays the main character, but, like, I don't know. He strikes me as the Doug Walker of this operation. I don't know the truth, and we may never know.
That's always something that's going to feel kind of inherent when the main character is a man using his own name. Again, weirdly like the Magnus Archives.
Also, a man using his own name who is in a show about how smart he, the guy making the show, is.
So meta.
Yeah, no,
so quirky.
But the actual plot of it is so confusing because at the end of this episode, in what I believe is supposed to be a triumphant moment, and I'll tell you why it's supposed to be that later, Zach walks up to his dad and quits Echo Chamber, but, like, his dad never wanted him to work at Echo Chamber
I don't
anyway.
get it.
Yeah, he should have been going up to
like,
Tom.
oh, you could have been great, but you're wasting your skills at Echo Chamber.
Like, why would his dad should be like, yes, good. Go make films with Galen, who is also a filmmaker. Like, this is like, as much as Zach is barely, a adult at this point in the series, this is the only good thing that happens to anyone, is him quitting the show.
Yeah, and then in what was, like, meant to be their cliffhanger for a next season that hasn't in 9 years come, we just have this like, one-man show for the most part.
And the name of the episode is Mind Screw, which is so unbearably presumptive.
Also, it is literally the opposite of a mind screw because they explain literally everything that's going on. You cannot be confused by this. There is no way to be confused by this. There are no extraneous elements. This is just them explaining what the plot was the entire time. How is this a mind screw?
Okay, but I didn't fucking get it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because they explained it badly. So basically, all of these guys are like clones or something, and they exist on the fourth wall.
To moderate the various wikis of the
what you're saying is not that they didn't explain it well, it's that it's stupid and there's no good way to use this in a story. Like, the plot is just bad. Like, here's what I gathered. So, he's a fictional entity, and he's got little fictional clones, and they're moderating reality, and they're somehow trying to use this show to slowly introduce themselves into reality via, like, adding tropes to these people's lives. How they're gonna do that? I don't know, mysterious bullshit. But that's the whole plot, and it's like, alright, they're gonna, next season, if there is one, which there won't be, because this was 10 years ago.
There was not.
They'll retcon Zach leaving the show. So,
yeah.
It was all straightforward, but it was all stupid, it was all bullshit. None of it was good, none of it was great, and that's the fucking legacy of Echo Chamber.
Lads, TV Tropes has a page on Echo Chamber. Would we enjoy taking an even deeper look down
I have the crowning pages.
Down onto the cringe iceberg? Who would like to hear about the crowning moments of funny?
Yep, I've got them right here.
According to TV Tropes themselves.
I mean, after all, this is a show that was made for Tropers, by Tropers. Are you ready? Alright, so...
I carve a pentagram into my wooden desk. Please, some demon, take me far away.
Little fun detail here. In the Crowning Moments of Funny page for Echo Chamber, each of the titles of the episodes are, of course, hyperlinked to their relevant trope.
Beautiful. Do you want to take turns reading this? So we can just tag team beat the shit out of Gus with this cringe.
This is the new episode of Echo Chamber. It's Beat a Dead Horse. Hi, my name is Dead Horse. Kill me.
But here's the thing. What I'm really tempted to do is, rather than reading those, if you scroll down, Meg, Zach had an in-character Twitter.
No!
And they have compiled his funniest tweets.
Oh, God.
Are you ready for these, Gus?
Oh, God.
Alright, we'll take turns. Meg, you first.
Just finished washing Tom's car. He didn't think it was funny. I did. To be fair, I cleaned his car with my pee, and the windows were open, and he was in it. Oh, he's so quirky.
This next one is, I like bacon. Who else likes bacon? I like bacon in my nose. Who else likes bacon in my nose? Bacon. It goes in noses.
So quirky. Just found the journal I kept when I was 7. Best quote, if I am what I eat, I think I am boogers.
And this next one, how is there not already a fish book? You know, Facebook, but for fishes? Why has this not happened? What's so great is all of these just feel like tweets that I'd see screen caps on like
stop.
Comedy Cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep, I think we've had enough. Like,
Would you like to hear what the funniest...
No.
Here are some of the funniest moments. People can't help but crack up whenever Ace says Gurt.
That's
people in the show.
Including the administrator.
See, the thing is, that's one of those things where it's like...
not funny. Nothing about
it's just
funny.
objectively not funny. It's not funny.
Okay, I found something even worse. Alright, I found the worst part. Okay, I found something bad.
Go on.
Okay, if you go onto the trivia page... Oh, not trivia. It's, your mileage may vary. One of the listed tropes. Genius bonus. Now, for those of you who don't know, a genius bonus is a joke that is only funny, or like a reference that is only to be appreciated by people with a very niche, specific level of knowledge. So, like, in Futurama, for example, there are a lot of math jokes, because a lot of the people that wrote for Futurama are mathematicians. They have the audacity to call this a genius bonus. Genius bonus. The cat that Tom talks about in the box that may be dead or alive is a reference to Schrodinger's cat.
You gotta be Rick and Morty level intelligent to get that.
Yeah, you need a really high IQ to understand Echo Chamber.
Yeah.
You
need a really high IQ to survive Echo Chamber.
I feel like Schrodinger's cat right now. The box is this podcast, and I don't know if I'm alive or dead. I guess we'll
Rewatch
find out.
bonus. After Mr. Administrator's true intentions were revealed, it can clearly be seen that it was what he was trying to do the whole 2 seasons.
What? What his intentions? They were never revealed.
No, yeah, they were, because the Mind Screw episode, the quote-unquote Mind Screw episode, he just explains that they're trying to invade reality.
Oh yeah, via fiction.
Yeah, reality via fiction. Also, this means that, like, Zach's weird change in character and all of their weird, dumb decisions were just a result of this. It's a cabin in the woods situation.
It was the plot hole.
It was the plot hole!
Yeah, it's just the... Oh, God.
This takes place in the same universe as Channel Awesome!
I'm going to throw up!
This is my favorite one on this page because it's so, like, backhanded. Hype backlash. The wiki's treatment of the show as some universally loved event everyone has to know about. Many that wouldn't have cared about the show's concept itself had begun to hate the thing en masse because since every announcement relating to it gets posted all over the wiki with no way to disable it, the hype the wiki administrators give to the show seems disproportionately high compared to its actual fan base.
Oh!
That is brutal! That is a brutal smackdown.
See,
oh my God.
See, I was going to read the crowning moment of awesome things, but to be honest, I think that's the ending. That fucking comment.
That's the thing. It's like, we are the only people in existence who ever talked about this show. And with any luck, soon after this video is published, it'll be disappeared forever. and everyone will just think that this was a social experiment.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, looking back, tvtropes.org, the official, YouTube page, has only 2K subs.
That tracks.
Like
Not to be
technically,
mean, but that tracks.
technically, we're punching down with this video.
Oh God, I feel more like digging down.
Yes.
Because I am actually going to now self-bury myself, because it's only a matter of time until all of reality becomes this.
So, that was Echo Chamber, the TV Tropes TV show that, frankly...
Don't mind me.
What are you doing? Oh, you're digging. I thought he was, like, cocking a
No, just
pistol
move
to
it.
shoot himself.
Oh, I thought he was striking
no.
a match to set himself on fire.
Shovel's cheaper than gun. Also, matches might burn my fingers.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Just keep going.
All
Don't
right.
mind me.
So, to all of these people who, cite TV tropes like it's actual criticism, this is a show for you. And I mean that as an insult. I mean that in a derogatory fashion.
Yeah, like, this... Gus, please stop.
It's not deep enough yet.
We're gonna get complaints about the noise. That was Echo Chamber.
That was Echo Chamber.
A show that deserves to be forgotten, but,
Now it
we
won't be
remembered it,
because
so...
we remembered it.
So you don't have to.
And now, please, I would love it if Echo Chamber has, like, a resurgence, like, ironic fandom because of this video. That would be just, beautiful.
Meg, Henry, it's been great. Remember me as I was. I'm getting in now.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Gus. Sleep well.
Oh, sweet dreams, old friends.